this year. I think the boys will be able to bounce the ball. The big news, though, is from the Eagles change room. Mainwaring out with a mystery virus and John Worsfold with his ankle. They'll really miss him, but I'm still tipping the Eagles, Dennis.
OK, Adrian Barrich on the boundary. Paul Roos with the football towards the outer side. Lewis has got it. Close to the boundary line. Joined tonight by Ian Robertson. Fourth umpire, John Russo. Lewis down towards half forward. Lachlan feeds it off. Corcoran hurriedly off his step towards the 50. Turnbull goes back, takes the mark. Ryan Turnbull, the key defender now. Little chip pass across the ground. Cousins. And all the lights are working. Good news. Cousins out of the back pocket then up towards the wing. Ball from behind. Banfield in front. Gave it away. O'Loughlin concedes some ground. Cresswell. Dyson inside the centre square. Not a bad kick, but the numbers favour the Eagles in that direction. McIntosh got it on the ground. Mooney left it behind. Lewis straight up in the air. McIntosh sold a pup. Evans did nicely. Matera arches the back, slips away. Gehrig on the outer side, up towards the wing. Going back, Seymour. He's a good player. Good mark.
Mark's behind Heady, and it looks as though the rain may have just quietened down a little bit, which is good. It's been very steady since we arrived here in Perth this afternoon. Mooney again, long kick towards full forward. In front there was Carey, couldn't take the mark. It's mopped up by Waterman. Hand pass in the direction of Cousins. Chipping in is the captain tonight for the West Coast, McKenna. The ball spills to Cousins. Cousins kick along the wing, and a good mark taken by Donnelly. Closely attended there by Ben Wilson. But Donnelly is marked the Rookie of the Year for the West Coast last year. Surprisingly to a lot of people, you would have thought, with young Ben Cousins winning the Norwich Rising Star, but the Eagles giving their rookie star to Andrew Donnelly.
How you doing, Robbo, anyway?
Good, Dennis, and it's great to see you back here doing one of these sensible games, Australian rules football, instead of that cricket over there in South Africa. So the bounce, the boundary throw in, knocked forward by Wooden, kicked forward by Banfield. It's at around about centre half forward for the Eagles. The fumble there, well, it was a bad one by Wilson, and the Eagles able to keep the ball at least in their attacking 50-metre zone. Boundary throw in. There's Dean Kemp, and the weather, well, it has been quite miserable. It was forecast for about 24 to 26 degrees, but getting nowhere near that. Currently only 16. Expecting it to get down to around about 14 as the night wears on. Chance again for Banfield. Just hacks it out of that area. Kick forward by Cresswell towards the centre of the ground.
Bounces inside the centre square. Mooney came to meet it. Lachlan, who's been busy, hand passes the ball about 15 metres. Good shepherd off the ball by Turnbull. McIntosh away. Gave it to McKenna into space, but with no chances. Kemp. It skids away from him. The boundary throw in.
Amazing drainage on this ground. It's been raining all day, and really this first part of the game, the grass might be a little moist, but the ball's bouncing and the players are handling it well.
Tossed in. Grigic knocks it down. Slips wide, awkward bounce. Wooden throws it on the boot. His first kick went about 2 metres. Stafford in the opposite direction. McIntosh met solidly by Luff. And we'll have a ball up right on the wing.
I think that's going to be another thing that the players have to contend with. They realise it's been raining, but the ball's still bouncing a little awkwardly. So they're going to have to get used to the conditions.
A little unusual. Lewis. In fact, two of them. Across the boundary line.
As I say, do find in modern football, players are so attuned to give the ball to each other with the modern running game that once the ball does get a bit slippery, they have trouble sort of adjusting it to play a bit more basic football, not try and overhandle the ball.
Luff in front. Knocks it down. Orchard off the ground by Kelly down towards the attacking 50. Turnbull a fist on it. Luff's got it now. Tries to centre the ball. Corcoran goes back. Matera favoured by the kick is away. Testimony to what Lee was saying. He bounces the ball. It came up to chest height. He kicks to the 50. Waiting behind Heady. Takes it outside the 50. Cousins. They come at him from all directions. Gives it to Ball. He's right on the 50. Vacant goal square. It's bending back. Not in time.
Well, the first score of the game coming probably after about 5 or 6 minutes of both sides just testing each other out, and of course trying to become a little bit more accustomed to these conditions that we've been mentioning. Paul Roos, well, we've seen that bandage on his right leg a bit, haven't we? kicking in, and he goes straight down the ground. Looks in the direction there of Stafford. He knocks it forward, wide to the wing, but there's no one home out there for the Swans. Waterman, he's run down quite fiercely by Corcoran, a little too fiercely from the umpire's point of view, and Waterman will take the free kick just forward of centre wing. Trusty left foot, kicks towards centre half forward. In front, it's knocked away, heady, taken to the ground, and it's locked up there by Tony Evans, and the umpire can do nothing more than bounce. Have another look at this tackle that saw a free kick go to Chris Waterman.
We've got our fourth umpire. John, what do you think of that one?
Oh, not much doubt about that one being a bit high.
It's unanimous in the box, one of the few. Banfield missed it. Kelly, he got the ball, doesn't matter. Well, it does actually. It comes across to Cousins, who pulls it back for the first goal of the night.
Yes, he has a fantastic ability to finish. It's one thing to get your hands on the ball in the forward 50, but it's another thing to be able to make the most of your opportunities. And Cousins, even in his very short AFL career, has had that ability to do it. It's this question here, a lot of pressure on. It's a matter of thinking your way. Really knew exactly what he was doing. Good curled kick, good goal.
So the umpire to restart play by just throwing it in the air. So obviously a bit of difficulty there for the umpires to bounce the ball, with neither an advantage to either side. Lewis has kicked out the forward pocket, nearly taken by Cousins. Knocked away ball. He has kept it in. Gives away a bit of ground. Goes back towards Chris Lewis. Dale Lewis couldn't quite grab him, so Lewis's kick. Good central kick towards half forward. That should be a free kick, surely. It will go to Roos, and it's against Mitchell White. Roos is between fullback and centre halfback. He plays on quickly. The kick not all that good, but Kelly's got a little bit of time to gather his composure. Kicks it down towards centre wing. Marking contest out there. Carey was kicked away from him. Rebounded. Still not controlled by the Swans. This time Stafford gets it to Dale Lewis. In turn to Corcoran across his left shoulder. And a good mark in the difficult circumstances there to Chris Lewis. 185 games or something like that now. There it is there. 183 AFL games to Chris Lewis. A couple of premierships, and he's been a stalwart for the West Coast Eagles. He's got the ball at left half-back.
Started very well. Coming off a very good pre-season. Gehrig's got it now. Fraser Gehrig from half-back. Goes very wide. Low down. It's held by Mitchell White. Normally very safe in that situation. On the wing, another short one intended for Banfield, who stretches. Best and fairest last season. Drew Banfield pumps it inside the 50. Big leap from behind, fisted forward by Wilson. Nicely done. Kelly to Roos. The old firm bring it away. Roos back towards the wing. Mooney's the target. Not much space to operate in. Off hands across the line. Jason Mooney. Grew up supporting Carlton. Don Pike, born in Illinois, the runner for the West Coast Eagles. Mooney and Turnbull, shoulder to shoulder. Turnbull won it, wide of the pack. Well done by O'Brien. Put the hand pass away. Nice pickup by Orchard. Strong tackle, Lewis. Corcoran throws it on the boot. Meantime,
Free kick's been paid for the fact that he had a prior opportunity before tackled, and then when he disposed of the ball, he didn't dispose of it by kicking or handball. So free kick for incorrect disposal.
You happy with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Umpire 21, Greg Screw, officiating on that decision, Dennis. Chris Lewis's short kick finds Banfield, number 34 for the Swans. There's Troy Luff, man on the mark. Lewis and Metropolis having a little bit of a to-do behind play. Hand pass off to McIntosh. McIntosh's kick across the half-forward line. There's a little bit of space here for the West Coast. Ball bouncing a little awkwardly there for Mitchell White. And eventually it's hurried over by the Swans defence.
Interesting match-up there with Mitchell White, who really just charges around at centre-half forward, and Paul Roos. And Roos is basically at this point playing the percentages, sort of trying to guard the centre-half back spot. Plenty of distance opening up between the two of them as White runs around.
And there are the other two umpires, Rowan Saws and Martin Ellis, officiating in this match tonight. Dale Lewis has the football. He's on centre wing. Good player for the Swans. And give him a rap. And straight out over on the full free kick for the Eagles. lets Dale Lewis down. It seems to be the simple things. He's a very, very talented player. So with the football is Tony Evans. The West Coast lead by 7 points. They've kicked the only scores in the game, 1-1. Swans yet to score. Bay's up high, punches it away there from ball, over for a boundary throw-in. The ball is between wing and right half forward. It's about 75 to 80 metres around from the Eagles' goal. And just for a change, we have reasonable conditions. Not much, just a little patter of rain maybe. Luff overruns it. And it's locked up there. Cresswell, he didn't like the attention. And the umpire quickly might give a free kick out of this. He is, and it's going to Wooden. So that attention given out by Cresswell. A free kick. It goes into the forward pocket for the Eagles. We have another look there. He didn't like the tackle there, and then a bit of a punch and bang. Anyway, players gone on. The Swans are under pressure at half-back. What a magnificent gather by O'Loughlin. He runs through half-back and kicks it wide to the wing. Now the rebound might favour the Sydney Swans. It's Kelly.
Kelly, no one to kick to at the present time. Looping hand pass. Corcoran close to the boundary line. Goes for distance down towards half forward. Well directed. Metropolis slides in. Uncontested. Wants to go. Across the ground he comes. Ricketts has got it. Runs up towards half-back. Prods it out towards the wing. Cousins still going. Nicely done. Great balance. Little kick intended for White. It runs on to his advantage but won't stay in.
Well, after about 10 minutes of the game, no second-year blues for Ben Cousins at this point of the season. He has really started this game in the form that won him the Norwich Rising Star last year.
Eagles by 7 then. Feet of the pack. Lewis walked into him. Stafford moved the ball. Upended was Lewis. Nicely done by Kemp. This is Banfield. Goes with his right foot down towards the pocket. Bay is favoured by the kick though. He's flirting with the idea of running on, but the boundary line was too near. Now he goes across the ground to Wilson in the opposite pocket. A new acquisition. Wilson hugs the boundary with his kick. Corcoran up in front. Couldn't hang on. Matera from behind knocks it across the line. Just over 11 minutes till quarter time. It's not a sellout crowd. Obviously the rain has kept a lot of people away, and a dispute over parking in the area as well. It's not stopped raining for the last 24 hours. A lot of thunder and lightning. Calandia towards midfield. Missed by Mooney. In goes Turnbull.
So the umpire calling for a bounce about 3 or 4 metres forward of the centre circle in the Swans attacking half. They're yet to score, Sydney. West Coast have kicked 1-1. The goal kicker, Ben Cousins for West Coast. Goes back towards the Eagles goal, but geez, strong at the footy, that Paul Kelly, isn't he? We've become accustomed to that. Kicked off the ground and the finish by Dyson. Just goes a little bit towards the Eagles goal. Kevin Dyson manning up on Chris Lewis at this stage. The Eagles about to make a change. Heady to come off and Lovell to take his place. And the boundary throw in forward of centre wing, favouring the West Coast. Michael Malthouse, of course, in charge of the West Coast, and Rodney Eade, the coach of the year last year, in charge of the Sydney Swans. Well done, Kelly. Cresswell not having to change stride. His kick towards centre half forward has been well marked by Luff. Gets it away now to Wilson. Wilson runs down the ground, lets himself down with poor disposal. It's at centre half forward. It rebounds back for the Eagles. Taken there by McIntosh. Good clean ball handling. Hand pass away. They run away from half back. It's Wooden. Wooden now, second bounce. Just a real old-fashioned Dow defender by the look of him. Socks down, his kick probably a little disappointing. Perhaps could have gone a little bit maybe towards centre half forward. The ball goes out in front there of Jason Ball. Boundary throw in right forward pocket for the Eagles, about 48 metres from their goal.
Low scoring affair. Halfway through the term. Knocked down in front by Stafford. Mercuria got a hand pass away. Seymour to Lewis. Not a particularly good kick coming out. Loose ball right on the 50. Kemp superbly done. Gets the ball away to Lewis. He's 60 metres out. He'll head for the square. Little stumble. Great pressure from Dyson affected the kick. They contest about 5 metres out. Roos did well. Controlled it to Kelly. Away come the Swans. Bays. 3 veterans that time. Bays wheels around. Aided by a good Shepherd. Kicks towards midfield. Loose ball through the centre square. McIntosh will be the first back, and he's got support. Heard the voice of McKenna. Waterman, though, tidies up now across his own half-back line. Kicks to Gehrig. There's a runner outside him. That's Metropolis. He thought about using him. Realised O'Loughlin was running in that direction. Well, that's great mobility for a big man, but the disposal not the equal of it. Kelly on the ground, gets it to Roos. Off a step, boots towards the outer side. O'Brien slides, takes the mark right on the wing.
Bit fortunate.
A long way up the ground. Short one is on. Shannon Grant almost. Recovers nicely. Kicks inside the 50. They haven't been there too often. Intended for Carey, waiting behind McKenna. Carey picked his pocket, but he was taken too high, McKenna.
So Carey not offering any protestations there, and the free kick taken, or the hand passing, the finish by McKenna. Gets it away to Gehrig. Gehrig, one of the quicker tall players anyway on the Eagles list, certainly showed that a few minutes ago when he just ran away from centre-half back, backing himself. There's a free kick going to Daniel Metropolis on centre wing for the West Coast.
Bump to the head, Robbo.
So the umpire's always conscious of that, John, when the player goes in with his head down to protect that player.
Yeah, here you see Daniel Metropolis' head down, and player comes in and bumps him above the shoulder. Clear free kick because that fella has to be protected.
8 minutes left in the term. Metropolis' short kick. Banfield, nearly a high tackle again, and it's been paid. Maybe the advantage with the Swans. Kelly comes away, kicks to half forward. The mark is taken by Mooney. Mooney for Sydney. He's too far out, probably 2.5 kicks from the Swans' goal. Just a little bit of indecision by Jason Mooney. Now he kicks across the half-forward line. At the back, well, he pitched at Dale Lewis, got his right foot to it, kicked it into the pocket, and it goes over for a throw-in about 7 or 8 metres around from the Swans' goal.
We saw Guy McKenna and Peter Philandia chase the ball over the boundary line. Philandia lined up at half-forward, was picked up by McKenna, has immediately gone and played deep in the Swans' forward line, I think, basically to get McKenna away from that attacking half-back position.
Luff directs it down. Lewis, little give. Philandia fell over. Now it's out of bounds. Testing time, this one. If you think back to that round 22 clash of last season, the Swans held the Eagles goalless. They were kicking into the breeze, the Swans, in the final term, with players injured on the bench. It was a fine effort. Wooden's kick, not so fine, out of bounds on the full. So Stafford about 60 metres from goal. Looking towards the middle. It's bending back. They'll contest about 30 metres out. McKenna, eyes only for the ball. Got a fist on it. A lot of Swans around the ball. Here's Lewis. Rubbers it and misses. Good work by O'Brien to dig the ball out of there. The finish not quite right.
And I think that's the way the Swans are going to have to score their goals. They really don't look like, at this point, marking the ball in that sort of centre corridor area within kicking distance. They're going to have to be able to crumb the ball or kick running goals, one would think.
And what do you think of the jumper here, Lee? Short, long sleeves.
Short,
Guy McKenna.
Medium-length sleeve.
New style. Well, we'll have another look at that later. Kick forward now by Orchard. Orchard's kick towards the right forward pocket region. Not clear by Carey, not quite clear enough. Still there for the Swans. They still have a chance here. Kelly, good ball handling. Throws it onto his right foot into the pocket. Getting back and taking a good safe mark. Here's McKenna. He's a reliable player. The hand pass, Metropolis finding it just a little difficult there to control the footy. Boundary throw-in.
Peter Philandia, he stays down as the ground level player, but McKenna, we know, can fly third man up and mark the ball. He does that so well.
1-1, plays 1 point. Not clear by Turnbull, not quite far enough. O'Brien gets it to Philandia. Philandia's kick will be marked by Lewis. So Dale Lewis has had the only real chance for the Swans so far by kicking a rush behind. Now a set shot from about 25 metres. And just the angle really to contend with. Still some bleak looking skies out on the far side of the ground over the new grandstand as Dale Lewis kicks for goal for Sydney. And he's put it through, so scores a level. Dale Lewis kicks the first goal for Sydney. He's kicked 1-1. Cousins has kicked the goal for the West Coast. and it's 7 points apiece.
Well, it's a good effort by the Swans to be level, 7 points apiece. Certainly the Eagles have had the majority of the play in their sort of forward two-thirds, but the Swans are hanging in there, and again it's just a quick kick out of the pack. Lewis was probably just a bit lucky. In the better position he was behind, but the ball was dropped into his arms and he kicked accurately.
Hard man Michael Malthouse, Josh Wooden off the ground. That kick coming out, which went out of bounds on the full. Obviously that upset the coach. Meantime, back in the middle, Evans, nicely done. Cousins storms away, probing kick, ball the target, opportunity off hands for White, deep in the pocket, tries to pull it back, ambitious from there, ball goes back, eyes only for the footy, missed it. This is Grant, deep in his own defensive area, tried to be a little too clever, Ball's got the ball, Bayes has got him, in fact Bayes has got company. Seymour and Bayes both have hold of Ball, who's got the ball, if that's not confusing, and will have a bounce right in the pocket.
There's a few balls in there.
Knocked down by one of them. Chance for Bayes. Socket off the ground by Evans, picked up by Kelly.
Oh, great stuff.
Terrific stuff. Plays as if he's using somebody else's body. Drives it back towards the middle of the ground. It bounces out towards the wing. Carey, mobile for a big man, does well opposed to Geary. They skid on their knees and the ball goes out of bounds. So under 5 minutes till quarter time.
I was going to say Paul Kelly's a magnificent player. Drew Banfield, probably the Eagles' best stopping player, but already 9 possessions to Kelly. He just keeps finding the ball.
Inspirational. Grigich and Carey forced to the side of the pack. Matera, nicely done, measured the hand pass. Waterman into the path of Banfield, hurriedly onto the boot, under pressure, puts it out of bounds on the full.
Yes, disappointingly there for Drew Banfield. Free kick for the Sydney team across half-back. And what's the umpire doing here, John?
Kick to be taken by Paul Roos.
Long player.
Yep.
Taking the kick. So now Roos with the footy. You can see the defensive 50-metre line. Just to the front there of Roos. Short kick has been taken by Orchard. He runs across centre half-back and then has to kick. Oh, gee whiz, this is not really to his team's advantage. And fortunately for him, it's bounced in front there of Chad Morrison and gone over for a boundary throw-in. Adrian Barrage down on the boundary line.
Yeah, just a weather report, boys. The conditions are quite good, actually. The wind is to the Eagles' advantage, but the rain has gone, and it's actually quite pleasant.
So 4.5 minutes left in the term. It's kicked away again by Kelly. That's his 10th possession in the direction of Lewis. Cousins is there. The ball spills to the front. Taken there by Licuria. Shannon Grant measured the hand pass for Licuria as he got the pace to get away, tried to get it back to Lewis, and terrific stuff shown there by Cousins just to make a contest for the Eagles. Grant's kick, he's had 2 or 3 possessions, Shannon Grant, and just trying to be a little bit too fanciful. McKenna's kick back towards the wing. 2 Eagles players fly together. Stafford to Kelly. He fumbles, which is not something that you're used to seeing. Paul Kelly. Licuria looking for the free kick, but the umpire will come in and bounce. He has a word there to Grigich.
We often talk about the Perth grounds, and as soon as it stops raining, you can kick drop kicks in the old days, and these conditions are exactly like that. It's stopped raining, they're handling it like a complete dry condition day.
Cousins has been busy, pulled off it. Stafford gave it away. Banfield in turn. Seymour, nicely done to Dyson. Dyson through the centre square, down towards half forward. Chapman too far under the ball. Magnificent attempt at the mark by McKenna. Chapman the crumbs though, down towards full forward, 2-on-1. O'Brien hasn't got it, no free kick. Scrambled towards the boundary line by Metropolis, and across she goes. Well, I think O'Brien may have been a bit stiff there. They have control of the ball at any stage. 7 apiece, we may never know. Boundary throw in. Missed by Turnbull, in goes Lovell. Cousins, Morrison towards midfield. Dyson across on the angle, peeling off his Corcoran. Dyson can't get the ball to him. Matera robbed him. Now they've got a problem. Lewis through the middle, goes long, vacant goal square. Kemp is going back with Cresswell. Cresswell brilliantly done. It wasn't a mark that time that saved the Swans. We think of his heroics late last season, but that time a timely knockaway was good enough.
It's the Matera speed. It's not only the speed to run with the ball that excites us so much, but that acceleration to pick up and chase and tackle.
Gee, I think if you knew he was in your vicinity, you'd just get it and kick it, wouldn't you?
I think you'd be kicking it quick.
Left forward pocket for the Eagles. Boundary throw-in, taken by Ball, tackled by Cresswell. and the umpire deciding on a bounce. 2.5 minutes left in the first quarter, and the umpire quite prepared to throw it in the air to give both teams a chance at the ruck contest. Banfield gets it back. Short kick is okay. McIntosh is marked. And the kick may have come from Donnelly by the look of it over there in that forward pocket area, but McIntosh will have a shot for goal from about 40 metres out, slight angle. Just have a look at this vision here.
It's just good thinking, isn't it? You know you're under pressure, see a teammate clear, little chip kick 10 metres, all of a sudden there's now a set shot from 35 metres.
It's amazing. This guy may kick the goal, but there's the little hand pass and the little kick, so there's 3 people involved if Ashley McIntosh can kick truly for the West Coast, which he does. McIntosh kicks his first goal. The West Coast get their second, and they lead by 6 points close to quarter time.
And that was a situation playing halfback. McIntosh mainly picking up Troy Luff, and as Luff pushed back into the Swans' defence, as the Swans tend to do to get extra players back, Luff just sort of stayed out a little bit, just to create usable space, usable option within kicking distance, and a good conversion.
Good game of footy this so far, given the conditions. As we've heard, they're improving too. Lachlan, who started so well, slung. Matera, good jump. Cresswell's got the run of it. Goes towards the outer side, skids it towards the boundary. Waterman content to run it across.
A fantastic defensive team, the Swans. They proved that last year. I must say, you get the impression at the moment they're just holding up the damn wall. The Eagles are the ones who are pushing forward all the time.
Tossed in, Turnbull hooks it down behind. Lachlan again, bounces around, throws it on the boot. Very high kick, close to the boundary line. Matera goes across. I think out on the full, but in any case, it's his ball. Marco a free. Peter Matera back towards the wing. Lachlan in from the side. Good grab. Hits the ground running. He's away. Can they level it up at quarter time? Down towards the 50. Lewis has to stretch. Good effort. But beyond him, this kick. Inside the last minute, Dale Lewis. A kick from right on the 50. Carey goes back to the square. Meantime, Lewis tries to send it to O'Brien and gives it away.
This is Waterman for the West Coast across half-back. Now we see the sun setting, Dennis. What's this all about? This
got everything, hasn't it? Should be a calendar
amazing,
this night.
hasn't it? Yeah. Waterman for the Eagles. A kick will land close to the centre wing. Good mark. One grab mark taken by Grigic. Gets the handball away quickly to Banfield. Banfield down towards full forward. Punched away strongly by Wilson. Lands with Cresswell. Then Roos. Now Kelly. Kelly for possession. Number 11. The kick not quite as accurate as he would have liked. Looking down there for Jason Mooney. Shannon Corcoran actually there with Peter Matera. And the boundary throw-in will take place just behind the wing from the Eagles' point of view. Slightly into the Swans' attacking half. The ruckmen go at it, and it is Turnbull. Taken away there by Kelly. Not quite clear enough for an effective kick, though. This kick lands close to left half forward as the siren sounds for quarter time. So the West Coast Eagles have a slight advantage at the first break. They lead by 6 points. They're 2-1 to 1-1. The goals for the West Coast coming from...
He's hardly a factor. The Eagles running right to left this time. Grigic, over 60 games with the Bulldogs, numbers in and wins it down. Goes again too after that ball. Kelly manages another possession in there. Matera, Cousins on the wing, down towards half forward. A floater. How will it bounce? Close to the boundary line. Wilson got a hand to it, and out she went. Throw in, down towards left half forward then for the West Coast Eagles. One forward by Stafford. Garlick missed his target. Out she goes. Swans bench. Curia off the ground, as is Philandia. Now an opportunity. Scarlett gives the ball across to Luff, who boots it down towards the wing. Simmons in the road, sends it back for the West Coast Eagles. Nicely read there, coming up the ground. Donnelly on his chest. Really, he wanted it most. Donnelly Played reserves football for the Swans back in '94, almost a full season for them. And returned home to Perth to play for Subiaco, picked up by the West Coast Eagles. It's a nice story. Kicks inside the 50, off hands. Cresswell towards the boundary line, bounces it across.
Darren Cresswell, who has been a great servant of the Sydney Swans. There's a few of them have had 2 or 3 goes at making AFL football and done a terrific job. Dunkley, who's not playing tonight, one of them. Donnelly's kick towards the full forward area. Not quite taken there by ball. Seymour, gee, did you disguise that? I don't think so, Johnny.
Yeah, it certainly looked as though his only objective was to put the ball out of bounds, but the umpire has to be satisfied that that was the only thing he was trying to do. So the only thing I can think of is that Greg Scroop didn't think that was his only objective.
#1 member of Greg Scroop's fan club, John Russo. Boundary throw in. Have a look who's underneath it. Paul Kelly again.
I think that's fair enough. The player is going along the boundary line. Certainly he knows he's going to put the ball out of bounds. But if you're gaining sort of 5, 6, 7 metres while you're doing it, I think that, you know, it's hard for the umpire to pin that, I think. It was well done by Seymour.
The umpire has to be satisfied that is all he was trying to do.
Matera takes it over.
We often say, I don't think a player should ever be pinged for deliberate out of bounds, because if you disguise it, push it over, but a little bit forward as you do it, you're never going to get free kick.
Make it look as though you may be doing something else as well.
Absolutely.
West Coast lead by 6 points. Very low scoring at this stage anyway. Dyson does well. And Corcoran is marked in front of Matera. Plays on quickly, gets it in towards the middle. Cresswell can give the hand pass on as well. Just doesn't quite sit there for Chapman. He's able to get around onto his right foot. Kick towards half forward. Gee, that was a terrific leap by Mooney. Couldn't quite control it. Still at half forward, O'Loughlin, dispossessed, Simmons and Waterman. Still a struggle at half forward, Cousins for the West Coast. Handball back to Gary.
Short one is on. They've got the numbers on the outer side, but the kick a little indecisive. O'Brien held with that at that time, surely. He'll get the free. In fact, it's going to Shannon Grant. Goes in short to O'Loughlin. Juggles it, but holds on.
Well, he's persevering, Shannon Grant. I mentioned in the first term he had 2 or 3 chances just to bring other teammates into the play, and he was a little disappointing, but on this occasion he's given it to one of his teammates.
That was Mooney taking the big jump. Got up there, got his hands on the ball, but dropped the mark.
Michael O'Loughlin then. It's only about 30 metres out. Slide angle. It looks good. It's a goal.
It's like every goal is worth its weight in gold. The Swans are just pushing their players back in the defensive 50 and making it difficult for the Eagles, and it's sort of going forward and just trying to create a bit of space in their own forward 50. You wonder where all their goals are going to come from. They have to be manufactured by bits of play like that, but O'Loughlin is one of their players who has looked pretty slippery in this early part of the game.
So Michael O'Loughlin's 7th possession, his first goal, has levelled the scores once again. Kicked out of the ruck contest by Mitchell White towards half forward. The Swans defence under a little bit of pressure. Kick forward by Banfield into a vacant right half forward area. Overrun there by Donnelly and Seymour. In goes Cresswell for the Swans. Gathers nicely. Kicks across the face of goal. He had the opportunity there to bring the numbers into the Swans' favour. Kelly marked. Gets the handball away. And away go the Swans from right half back. Wilson's kick has been knocked away close to the boundary line, eventually over in front of there of Andy Lovell. And we'll have a throw in. Left half forward, not quite up to left half forward for the West Coast Eagles. And the boundary umpire will throw it in. 2-1 apiece.
Can you imagine an old-time coach with that kick across the goal face? He'd be halfway through a suicide note by now. It was deep in the pocket on the other side, just snuck across to the behind post on the opposite side. Close to the boundary line, Wilson heads for it and gets it across. Things have changed. Here we are under lights at Subiaco Oval. Who would have thought it? Dean Kemp running off the ground. Morrison to come on. Rigic knocks it wide of the congestion. Ball comes to meet it. Seymour's got him, dragged him down. Loose ball. Kelly again. Jams it across. Nicely done. They work it out. Well played. The ball is kicked up towards the wing there by Stafford. Racing away. This is Mooney. Wants his left side. High kick towards centre half forward. Stephen Carey under the ball. Spills behind. Simmons did well to keep it in front. Still he goes, Simmons, up towards the middle. Dyson is coming to meet him. He played it very well. Morrison favoured by the knock-on. Confronted there by Corcoran, who was lucky. The player just missed him. Was that high? Not according to the umpire. Corcoran goes in again. Like a Corcoran in the ocean. He was down, up, back again, and will have a bounce on the wing.
An exceptional play by Simmons. We know the oval-shaped ball can bounce a bit awkwardly. He kept it at his feet. He kept the ball in front of him and took it from half back to midfield. You can't let the ball get behind you.
So still the Swans struggling to clear the centre congestion. Now the umpire has picked a free kick out.
High tackle.
And it will go to Grant. Grant started on the interchange bench and has had some sort of an impact since coming onto the ground. The kick bounces in the open. McKenna first back. Got rid of that funny looking jumper anyway. Turnbull's kick from centre half back will land close to half forward for the Eagles. Taken away now by the Swans once again. Wilson's tumbling punt kick has been marked at half forward by Garlick. Garlick, very much an improver for the Swans in season 1996. The kick high was punched away quite safely there by Metropolis. And Bays, we saw leave the ground actually at quarter time. Adrian, how is he?
Robbo, the word from the Swans bench is that he's done a hammy, and you might see him icing it up later on. We won't see him again for the rest of the game. I think that'll really upset Sydney's team balance and Eads' big man problems.
What a terrible run, hasn't he, Mark Bays? What a wonderful player he's been for the Swans. Here's Stafford battling the numbers. Opportunity for Banfield, claimed by Corcoran. Over the ball is Donnelly, not going very far. Again, mass tackling, but the ball comes out nicely. Banfield got it to Grigic. Cousins now 35 metres out, closing goal.
Well, 2 goals to Ben Cousins before half-time, well before half-time. So in a low-scoring game, he certainly has contributed. 3-1 to 2-1, West Coast by a goal.
Just a fantastic gift to know how to finish when you get the opportunity. And you see here that Cousins gets the ball, he really gets it on the run, but he breaks through the 50-metre line, gets to close to goal as he can, knows the tacklers on his tail, kicks the ball, really well-balanced kick for goal.
So the West Coast lead by 6 points. We're not quite up to the halfway mark of the second term. A real struggle there for possession from the ruck contest, and the umpire will call for a bounce. Swans renowned as a very, very tough tackling side, and of course the Eagles, well, I don't think they lack too much in that area either. And there's their tutor, Michael Malthouse, in the coach's box. Knocked away by Grigic, gathered by White, away to Morrison. Morrison's kick is very wide, indirect play there, trying to give it to his teammate at right half forward, and he slaps himself on the hand, probably because he may think that he could have done a little bit better. Right half forward for the West Coast. Gee, it's as black as the ace of spades right over the boundary umpire that's throwing this ball in the distance. So let's hope that all the rain is gone. Now at half back, Kelly's handball to Roos. Roos sweeping across the full back line. This kick has got to go the distance, and it does. Well done by Carey. He's marked it right half back. He gives the short pass into the path of Wilson, and Wilson has taken the ball. He's kicking towards the centre. Oh, there's a bit of a mix-up there. Shannon Grant and Kevin Dyson taken by Lewis for the Eagles. Left foot kick to half forward, well done by Peter Matera. Dashing wingman. Very high polar in the Brownlow a couple of years ago. Lets himself down a little though, that kick. He was aiming for White, but chipping in to punch it away there for Sydney was Wade Chapman. And Peter Matera, number 30. Great player for the West Coast Eagles, being manned up at the moment there by Simon Garlick.
Andy Lovell off the ground. Oh, Kelly working on a second Brownlow tonight. What a great start to the season. Cousins pinches the ball. Hand passes inside the 50. Evans back to goal. Swings around. Sends it very high. It's a floater down towards full forward. Ball and Seymour. Seymour backed himself against the ball. Sliding in there Morrison. Over the top Garlick. Quick whistle. The bounce about 15 metres out. Slight angle. I'm saying bounce, but chances are it'll be thrown up again. That's That's been the story of the night. Martin Ellis doing the honours this time. Ball fends off Seymour, then takes clean possession to Lewis. Lewis 15 out, then pulls it back across the body. A substantial pull. It bounces out of bounds in the opposite pocket.
I think if this continues, they'll give the ball to Paul Kelly. 16 possessions to halfway through the second quarter, but unfortunately they're all in the defensive 50 at the moment. He's just sort of basically blocking it up back there, but the Eagles just keep pushing forward. They can't quite break the Swans.
Morrison tackled. Ball spills. Now Dyson away to Roos. Roos goes wide and a little too wide there for Carey. He's not quite agile enough. Mitchell White left it behind, but Carey made a good contest. Lewis's handball. O'Loughlin wider still. Grant off the ground, forces it forward for Sydney. Inside their attacking 50. Chapman, a real goer for Sydney. Can't quite collect the footy. Boundary throw in between left half forward and left forward pocket for the Swans. The Eagles lead by a goal. They're 3-1, Sydney at 2-1. 11 and a half minutes left in the second term. Well, not spectacular footy, but interesting because of the closeness of the contest. This is Gehrig for the West Coast. A kick across the half-back line. He wants to hope that it goes out, I guess. O'Brien run down by Lewis. Still a chance. Kelly. No, Matera. Well, I would have thought the ball may have been in Paul Kelly's position there, Johnny.
Yeah, well, Greg Scroops definitely signalled holding the man, so he didn't figure that Kelly had the footy, but here we see it again. Ball's out in front of him. Yeah, he certainly hung on a bit longer than he should have.
Dragged him away from the football. Well, fortunately for Sydney, Dale Lewis has taken the mark in the right forward pocket. And once again, as was the case in the first quarter, certainly within scoring distance, but just a slight angle confronting Dale Lewis. Have another look here at the kick. Well, it was off the side of Craig O'Brien's right boot. And the footy landing with Dale Lewis. He shoots for goal. And bad luck for Sydney. They could have done with that. Dale Lewis misses.
I think they're going to be able to afford to miss too many. The goals are a rarity. In fact, neither side, I think, has had a key forward who's been able to mark the ball overhead in anything like a contest. And that's why the scoring's so low. There's just both defences well on top.
Margin 5 points then. Waterman short to the pocket. This is Gehrig. Fraser Gehrig. Decides on distance around the outer side. Rigic in front. From behind, it's fisted away by Mooney. Orchard dragged off it. O'Loughlin nicely down in a tight situation. He worked it very well. Back to Mooney. 65 metres out. Good centering kick. Lewis is up. Fingertips to it. Couldn't hang on. Matera paddles towards the boundary line. Corcoran in close attendance. Matera worked it pretty well. And he'll get the free.
Held without the footy.
Simmons, left half back, takes it. He's away. Corcoran, good pressure, affected the kick. It wobbles up towards the wing. Wilson grabs the ball and steams towards the boundary line. And it will be thrown in right on the interchange gates. Under 10 minutes till half time. Tight game. Carey and Grigic wrestle. Coming through solidly. O'Brien crashing in down there as well. Creswell. It comes back to O'Brien. His hand pass not particularly effective. Taking on the tacklers was Evans.
What about the ruck contest just a minute ago, John?
Yeah, well, I really don't think Greg Scroop could pick who the instigator was. They were both doing it, so he's just decided to call play on and let it go. And I certainly couldn't tell who started the wrestling, but it did look untidy.
Thrown up on the wing then. Grigic stood his ground and will get a free kick this time.
High tackle signalled, and must admit I didn't see it.
Big Illy, you're not doing too bad.
No. Banfield cruising past, probing kick down towards the attacking 50. Ball and Donnelly. It struck Donnelly on the hand. Mitchell White did brilliantly. Releases Lewis. Vacant goal square. Will it run on? Yes, it does.
Well, Donnelly's been instrumental in 2 of their goals. He gave a short pass away to Ashley McIntosh in the first term, and this just sneaky little hand pass was a beauty.
It was a fantastic give, but really this is just an exceptionally skillful finish. You see Chris Lewis on his left side. He knows the ball's going to curve from left to right with a natural kicking action. He's basically aimed it at the point post. Know it's going to curl in. It really a very skillful finish.
Well, a beautiful hand pass by Mitchell White set up the West Coast for their 4th goal. They lead 4-1 to 2-2, and they get the ball away from the centre with a big punch, but it's Dyson to kick it forward for Sydney. It will land at half forward. No real opportunity for the Swans, but McIntosh gets it away to McKenna. McKenna from half-back usually sets it up. Left-hand hand pass, not too bad. Banfield back to McKenna. McKenna wider still to Grigic. Grigic goes down the ground. He can kick long. He kicks into the full forward area. And a good mark. Has it been paid to Ball? It has.
No, the mark wasn't paid, Robbo. The free kick was paid for holding the man prior to the marking contest.
Well, that's Brad Seymour on the mark, looking a little disappointed.
It's where the height, I think, is a bit of a problem. I mean, Ball's taller than Seymour, so when you're against a taller player, you tend to try and just establish the body contact so they can't outreach you. And, of course, that was when the infringement occurred.
So Jason Ball will kick from just inside 50. I think Brad Seymour would be standing on the mark about 45 metres from goal. So it'll take a 50-metre kick to score. Ball, it's a very, very ordinary kick. It's out of bounds on the full.
That is an understatement, Robbo. He's missed it by 25
10 metres. Yep. Short kick, mark taken by O'Loughlin.
Back towards the middle. Garlick in space. Comes out towards half-back. Corcoran, was he pushed in the back? I thought he was. Nothing doing. It's a boundary throw in.
Would have been a bit soft, I think. Dennison Rowan was pretty much behind the contest anyway, so he would have been guessing. Rowan Saws, that is.
Up in front, Kelly doing it all. Throws it on the boot. Matera played well tonight. Forward of the wing. Peter Matera. Not much on offer. There's Ball. All the forwards going back with the exception of the man coming towards the boundary, and that's Cousins. That's Donnelly. Donnelly's got it. A couple of belated leads there. Now Ball offers one. Clears him. Ruse waiting behind. Tidies up. Kicks it back towards half-back. In from the side, Donnelly. Corcoran's got it. It's up towards the wing. Mooney feeds it back inside. O'Brien with plenty of runners going past, one of whom is Dyson. Dyson, the chip kick inside the centre square. Carey's got it.
Free kick.
Meanwhile, up ahead, Philandia will get a free against McKenna. One-out contest, 15 metres out, no contest. Stafford works off his man, but it's going to be a free kick to Geary.
Free kick paid for holding the man against Stafford too, Geary.
All happening ahead of the play. There's Matera. Short one is on. Waterman's got it. Geary away then with Dash. He's had a bounce. Looping hand pass. Releases Simmons. Some good strong shepherding too. Play goes on. Sliding it out there. Banfield couldn't hang on.
The free kick's paid downfield, Dennis. One thing that is happening a lot tonight is players chasing they're being bumped off the footy a good 10 or 15 metres away from the ball, and it seems to be happening regularly.
Well, the shepherder was Banfield.
And the current rule now, John, is 5 metres.
5 metres, and tonight there are players being bumped off the footy a good 10 or 15 metres away from the ball, and it seems to be happening much, much more often than you would normally expect.
Well, the Eagles got the free out there. They were the team with the ball around the underside wing. Rigic up, missed it. Evans could have been pushed in the back, nothing doing. Tunneled out. Hand pass forward by Wilson. Grant did nicely. This is O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin wide. Opportunity for Lewis, hard against the boundary line. Kicks for distance. Turnbull and Mooney. Mooney almost the control. Hitting the pack hard for Landia. Hitting the ball equally hard McKenna. Spills wide. O'Brien in all sorts of trouble. Opportunity now for Chapman. Chapman pokes it towards full forward. Coming out in front is Carey. Touched off the boot. Hand passes to the boys for Landia. Still for Landia. Rolls. Kicks. Goal.
They certainly ran hard forward then, the Swans, and got the numbers into that forward 50 area, and it was really just a scramble. That's the way Sydney have to kick their goals, and the Eagles are no better at the moment. There's, as I said, no key forward is looking like marking the ball in a way. That was touched off the boot, and Philandia, good awareness, good quick kick on the back.
The Swans have made a change. O'Brien is off the ground. Luff is on, and a terrific performance there by Peter Philandia. First of all, to get to the ball, and then just struggle that kick through for a goal. Badly needed one because they trailed by nearly 2 goals. It's just less than a goal in it now, and the players really struggling to clear the centre. Unsuccessfully, the umpire will throw it in the air once again.
We've seen the umpires electing to throw the footy up tonight, and the ground is certainly dry, and there's a centre pad they can use, so I can assume that the only reason for that would be the ball's very greasy.
And it looks like Donnelly may be going to the rooms for the West Coast Eagles. He's just come off the ground, and we'll just watch that with a bit of interest, because he's been a fairly creative forward for the Eagles in the first half so far. Umpire throwing it in the air once again, not clear by Luff, but only as far here as Morrison. Morrison quickly onto his right foot. He is absolutely dumped. I thought maybe as he was kicking the ball, but the umpire seeing that as just a split second after.
I think it was paid because it was high too, Robbo.
Fair enough.
Not just the fact that it was late.
And the football is with Ben Cousins. 2 goals against his name so far in the match. He's kicked to half forward, a little too high, and a good effort, top effort by Wilson to take the mark for the Swans at left half back. Ben Wilson kicked 8 goals for Collingwood reserves in a match, I think it was last year. And Collingwood obviously thought quite highly of him, but they had to release him in the Anthony Rocker deal along with Mark Orchard. The Swans just slowly but surely get the ball down towards their half-forward area. Mooney off the ground, close to the line, and taken over by Peter Philandia. Guy McKenna, his combatant at the moment. Boundary umpire will throw it in about 55 metres around from the Swans' goal. The score, West Coast 4-1, Sydney 3-2.
Mooney and Turnbull then. Mooney wins it down. Philandia had it, then lost it. Up towards the boundary by Wooden. And another throw-in. Approaching half-time. Tough game of footy, this one. Mark Bayes very unhappy, and why not? Terrible run he's had. Turnbull. Well, here's the ball as a weapon there. Smothered off Wooden's boot. It comes across towards Simmons. Socket off the ground, high in the air. Nothing much happening, but eventually it comes to Grigic. Grigic feeds it back towards half-back. Still coming through was Metropolis, soccering it towards the boundary line. Off the ground there by Luff, and that was rather untidy, out of bounds on the full. Not a memorable passage of play.
A no-ball situation there with Luff in the ruck now against Griddick, and Stafford having a spell up forward.
Metropolis. Little chip pass to the wing. The mark is held by a ball in front of Seymour. Thought about going. Now he gives it to Matera. Matera kicks it down towards half forward. Ruse forced to punch it forward, exposing Kemp to the ball. Running alongside is Hetty. 3 of them closest to goal. Hetty goes in and makes a certainty of it.
Well, brilliant roving by Kemp.
It was, and this is the way the goals are being set up. As I've mentioned a few times, neither side has got a key forward who looks like marking the ball. So it's from these ground level sort of situations that the crumbing players get in the right position. And that's why it's only, half a dozen, 6 scoring shots for the Eagles, 5 to Sydney. It's very tough scoring, and the rain is coming down again.
Well, just Dean Kemp's first possession, but he set it up for Brett Hetty. Kicked the Eagles' 5th goal. They lead 5-1 to 3-2, and we've got 2.5 minutes left in the first half. Luff gets back and gathers the ball, and then kicks towards centre half forward. No free kick. McKenna, Markey, Matera. Gee, we get used to saying that, don't we? McKenna, Matera, Kemp, now McIntosh. He's kicked to half forward. Oh, very well done by Ruse. Could have nearly been given 7 out of 10 for that effort, but the umpire not awarding the mark, and eventually calling for a ball up on centre wing.
The second effort to lock the ball up wasn't bad either.
Yeah, that duel between White and Ruse, I mean, White just charging all over the place, and Ruse has just given him 5 metres start, and just really backing the percentages that the ball has to get over his head if the Eagles are going to score.
O'Loughlin gives away ground, back to Luff. In a little bit of strife, but he's able to just gather his composure and gets it to Seymour. Seymour's kicking towards the middle of the ground. It's punched away very nicely by Metropolis. A very dour struggle in the middle of the ground by both teams' players. Now Metropolis gets it to Wooden. Wooden away from the centre. Little kick, well weighted. Cousins is on the end of it. A minute left. Cousins from outside 50. Kicks across the half-forward line. That's a free kick against Luff. Just a blatant free kick. And it will go to Morrison, and he's well within scoring distance.
Probably didn't have to establish the body contact, Luft, I wouldn't have thought either. He probably could have got there just to spoil. But he just basically, maybe he was a step short and tried to establish the body contact.
Short pass to Wooden. Wooden plays on and misses. So Josh Wooden, chance there to kick the Eagles' 6th goal, but they still lead by 12 points, less than a minute left in the first half.
Handy lead in the context of this game as the ball goes towards the outer side. Cresswell, almost the clever mark. Clattering in there was Kemp. Still he goes, Kemp. Great poise, comes away, kicks it back inside the 50 with pinpoint accuracy. And Cousins, who's played very well, has this ball about 55 metres from goal. Cousins with the clock running down now, approaching 15 seconds remaining. Vital contest then, this one. Big leap, McIntosh from behind. Hetty keeps it going. Morrison bundled across the line. We're down to 9 seconds. Kelly's body in very strongly there. Collision in midair. Grigic and McIntosh. Now the boundary throw in. Clock is running again. Waterman with the run of it. Close to the boundary line. Wants to keep it in. Can't. So I doubt now there's time for a score for the West Coast Eagles. So the final seconds well played by the Sydney Swans. Boundary throw in should just about do the action. So half time. It's been tough and uncompromising, certainly. 5-2 to 3-2. 12 points, just about as big a lead as we've seen in this game. So the West Coast Eagles timing their run just to slip up. Start of the second half. Greg Scroop throws the ball up. Greg Stafford thumps it down towards half forward. Orchard kicks down towards left half forward then for the Swans. It skids towards the boundary line. Chapman leads in the race and across it goes.
In fact, at the moment, the Swans have started Simon Garlick back as a loose man in defence, but maybe coming upfield now trying to work out exactly who he's on.
Ball falls behind the pack. Kelly knocks it goalward. Chapman tries to soccer it off the deck. Picked up by McKenna to Waterman. Waterman puts it back towards the boundary. Bounces across.
It was centimetre perfect, Dennis. Landed it within about 2 feet of the boundary.
Very effective. Stafford and Grigic fight for front position. Thumped away by Grigic, taken by Seymour, wrestled down. Corcoran over the ball, but again the boundary line is too near.
Yes, it's probably going to be important, isn't it, for the Swans? If they've only got Peter Philandia, we know that Mark Bayes is in strife on the bench, and if Troy Luff is incapacitated and it comes down to a real struggle towards the end, well, the numbers are going to be all so important. Grigic forces it forward, and in the finish, that really wasn't all that badly done there by Simon Garlick.
Push in the back paint.
He's got the free kick at left half back, looking to the right, but decides to go down the ground, and it lands close to the wing, and a good mark taken there by Cresswell. He had a pretty good battle with Kemp in the first half, restricting Kemp to only a couple of possessions. It lands at half forward for the Swans. Metropolis to Gehrig. Gehrig across the half back line. Out wide is McIntosh. There's a free kick being picked out. Is it from the incident where the kick came from, John?
Yes, it is, and they were going on with it too, so Rowan realised what was going on and paid the free kick downfield.
So across the ground, McIntosh took the free kick and gave it to Simmons. Simmons is still behind the wing, so the West Coast still to get into their attacking half. His kick lands close to the wing, and Roos has taken it. Roos, ever reliable. He's been a great player of Australian rules football over the years with the now defunct Fitzroy Football Club, and of course now with the Swans. Kicks across the ground, gives away a little bit of meterage, but still retains possession, does Simon Garlick. His short kick has been marked by Dyson. He was looking to play on, but Lewis quick to claim him. Dyson really goes back to where Roos kicked the ball to Garlick. And eventually, the Eagles take possession. Simmons kicks down the ground, and the mark is taken by Heady. So a lot of football there for the Swans, just giving them nothing. And now the West Coast a chance to kick it goal. Heady goes short, and Lewis's mark. A little risky. Stafford not quite able to get there. Lewis will have a shot from about 35 or maybe 40 metres out.
Something we see all the time in modern football. If a player's outside the 50-metre line, he will look to give it to a player inside. It's really hard to kick the ball accurately over 50 metres. So we've got Chris Lewis now. He's got about a 40-metre kick, so much better chance of keeping it on line.
Lewis, a study of concentration. Mentioned earlier, a very experienced campaigner for the West Coast Eagles, Chris Lewis. So he really should kick this goal. He hooks it a little bit and misses off to the left. So while we've got a minute, you make your debut on Talking Footy on Monday night.
Talking Footy Monday night about 11 o'clock. Looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Paul Roos to kick in.
Shannon Grant offers a lead. That's ignored. Roos strides out, going for distance, gets under it a bit. Mitchell White had knocked away at the last moment there. Orchard did well, across the boundary line. So a throw in just outside the attacking 50 for the West Coast Eagles. Ball and Stafford. Body to body. Stafford did pretty well. Tried to direct it down to Roos. Mitchell White's in there, Kelly, Seymour.
It'd be interesting if we had a time clock that could tell us how many minutes each side has spent in their forward half. I suspect the Eagles have been there most of the game, but they can't get the score on the board.
Stafford grabs this one, throws it in the direction of the boot. Orchard stopped it effectively. Slung as he kicked and out of bounds on the full. Bad luck there, really. Lewis, not waiting to be asked, plays on. The kick wide of the mark, though. It bounces out of bounds. No, it's on the full in the pocket, close to the line.
Still slight rain there, or light rain falling, Dennis, which obviously will make the ball a little slippery.
There's Grant. Curia got it to him. Shannon Grant still deep in his own defensive area. Dyson still in the defensive 50. Good player for them last season. Dyson unloads with a high kick towards the outer side. One-handed with Stafford. Coming through Chapman. Cresswell can't control it. Ball tumbles out again. So average start to the third term.
Dennis, talking about Kevin Dyson, I read an article in the paper a couple of weeks ago that he was promoted in his job and he was going to have a lot of trouble, well, first of all, playing games with the Swans, but certainly with his training commitments. So it's good to see him in the team. We'll wonder how much football he's going to be able to play for the Swans this year. Roos kicks it wide, close to the line, Kelly and Banfield. Now, after the early part of the game when Kelly dominated, Banfield's hit back.
He has a little bit, but still been good, Kelly. Actually, one player that the Eagles would have been delighted with, Chris Lewis, is the best senior game I maybe have seen him play for a few years.
Boundary throw in, and no free kick. But O'Loughlin doesn't wait for the umpire's whistle. He just runs through the line and then kicks it towards the centre. The ball spills back towards the Eagles' forward half. Grigic receives and then gives the hand pass out wide. Wooden gets it to Lewis. Lewis growing with confidence. Kicks it towards full forward. No mark taken by Morrison. Gathered by White. Brilliantly smothered. And Stafford there for the Swans. Kemp picks it off. Can't break clear. Real struggle there. Seymour. Now Banfield. Snapshot for goal. Is mercurial stuff by Banfield. It's a goal. Banfield kicks his first goal and, to a certain degree, breaks the shackles for the West Coast Eagles. They lead 6-3 to 3-2.
Good pressure by the Eagles team. I mean, Paul Roos, when he fell on the ball here, he knew he couldn't line and he was going to get here. It is just about here. He knew he can't line. He has to knock it out, which he does. But it's Banfield and onto his left foot as well, so everything's fitted into the slot. It was a good goal.
So the margin is 19 points and the Sydney Swans will need to be careful. Up they go, they fight a draw. Grigic went after it again. Spills wide at the centre circle. Plenty of willing bodies. Cousins tries to knock it out. Orchard had it. Moves the ball down towards half forward. In front is Garlick. Knocked over. Cousins against the flow. Well played. In trouble. Metropolis bounces off the tackler though. Feeds it out to Wooden. Now Simmons around the outer side. Close to the boundary line. Down towards half forward. Over the head of Seymour. Across comes White and Ruse.
I've been intrigued by that Ruse White duel across half forward. I mean, White charges around so much, but Ruse just picks the play, reads the play well, knows the position to play the percentages, and has been on top in that particular one-on-one contest.
Ball knocked it in front. Cresswell heads for the boundary line. 6-3 to 3-2. Ball tried to direct it back to Banfield. Dyson stood up in the tackle. Philandia off his step very high towards the wing. Mooney came up to meet it. Plays on immediately. Orchard been busy in this term. Kicks it down towards half forward. Nicely done. Corcoran met solidly. Arriving a step late was Metropolis. And Corcoran inside the centre square. Goes down towards left half forward. Chapman favoured by the kick. And that's a clever mark in the hands. It's about 55 metres out. Vacant goal square. Doesn't worry about that. He centres the ball intended for Carey. He's got plenty of company. Battles on, waiting in front. Orchard again off his knees. O'Loughlin from 40. It's gone very high. It's a floater towards the pocket. Lewis in from the side. Hands to it. Couldn't hang on. And the ball may have brushed against the post, did it? No, just missed it. Behind.
So Michael O'Loughlin in picture there. Was a very good player for Sydney last year. Let's hope he can grow in stature in season 1997. The Eagles with a succession of hand passes. Waterman able to get past onto his favoured left foot, then a little short pass looking for Banfield, gives away a bit of ground, goes back to Gehrig. Gehrig from right half back, kicks towards half forward, little push out by Ball, just allowed to go on by the umpire. Ruse gathers and then kicks short, and the mark is taken by Corcoran. He's got Dyson short towards the middle of the ground. He goes, oh, it's risky. Very, very risky. Chance there for Seymour to dive on it and at least lock it up. But Kelly was certainly in strife when he went for the mark.
Yes, that's a very poor kick by Corcoran. Going inside from the wing back towards the centre square. It's got to be a certainty, otherwise it's pretty lucky that the ball up was drawn.
Big Ilya Grigic gets his right fist to it. Down to Heady. Heady quickly, up and under. Lands at half forward. Mark nearly taken back there by Grant. Gathered by Kelly in strife, able to get the hand pass away to Lucuria. His hand pass is all right. Kicked away there by Cresswell. Maybe, might have been Ben Wilson. Now it's taken by Waterman. Waterman, very ordinary kick. Dyson, not able to get clear. Stafford to Seymour. Seymour out wide. Now the Swans are a chance. The mark cleanly taken by Dale Lewis. He plays on quickly. And, oh, good leap. Not able to mark there was O'Brien, and he goes in with the right-left combination, but the umpire sees that as an okay play from Craig O'Brien, and he will ball it up about 40 metres from the Sydney goal.
Blood rule, Robbo.
Someone in strife, Metropolis, yes, I think. Wonder how that happened, actually.
Yeah, well, Metropolis was certainly upset, so maybe there was a bit going on under the pack that Daniel Metropolis wasn't happy about.
So Metropolis to take his place on the interchange bench. And we'll have another look at maybe what happened.
Ooh. Is that you, John?
That may have been what happened, but it's a bit hard to tell, isn't it? But certainly, look, that was pretty aggressive at the bottom of that pack.
Well, Lovell is the Eagles' replacement for Metropolis. Quickly down into the back line. He's going to pick up Shannon Grant at this stage anyway. So the umpire now about to get play underway again. 6-3 to 3-3. Lewis's ruck work was not bad. Taken to the ground was Cousins. The ball spills now for Orchard. A snapshot for goal by Mark Orchard. He's missed. So he looked a little disappointed, but the Swans fans certainly would have been, because they badly need a goal just to try and break the continuity of West Coast. They lead 6-3 West Coast, 3-4 Sydney.
Mark Orchard 10 possessions, most of them in the last 5 minutes. Here's Lewis in the pocket to Heady. Flicked his head. Across it comes to Gehrig, who runs it out. Oh, a shocking kick. Bounds on the full, only 10 metres further afield. Most unlike him.
Why kick non-dominant side when you can straighten up and kick on your on his natural left side? He went onto his right foot. He didn't have to kick right foot, I didn't think. He was running fairly straight and straight off the side of that non-dominant right foot.
Shannon Grant, marvellous season last year. Kicks inside the 50 from behind McKenna. Waiting in front for Landia. Threw it on the boot. It wobbles down towards full forward. Loose behind. Paddled towards the boundary by Matera. Still he goes, sliding in his Orchard. Across the line it goes, and it will be thrown in. In fact, that kick coming in was from Cresswell. Let's go down to Adrian Barrich. Can use on the last man off.
Yeah, Dennis just on Daniel Metropolis. Offered the blood rule. He's got a cut to his nose and cheek that needs to be closed up, but he's all right and will resume shortly.
Mooney tried for clean possession, didn't come off. Turnbull over the ball. Ron Sewers will bounce it or throw it up. Just in from the boundary, about 40 metres out from goal. That's the state of play, and the Eagles had most of the ball tonight. Wooden, hurriedly. In front, Grigic bounces off his chest. Nicely done by Cousins into the path of Simmons. Sliding in out there was Chapman. Back towards Dyson. Dyson wobbles it down towards half forward. Orchard gets it across to support. Grant going down, gets the kick towards full forward. Garlick about 15 metres out, dragged off the ball. Lewis cleverly to Carey. Carey snaps and goes. Well, they stuck at it. 6-3 to 4-4.
Well, they're certainly keeping at it, as you say, the Swans, but I don't know whether they're going to get 6 goals for the entire game. And that 2-goal lead is a big one in the way this game is being played. It's just amazing how difficult it is to get the score in the boot. Again, it's the flurry of hands, and it just has to be. Carey, it was good awareness, got the ball with a bit of space, good curling kick over his shoulder.
Six-3 plays 4-4, so still not a great deal in it on the scoreboard. Eagles come clear of the centre bounce through Dean Kemp, but I tell you what, he is a great player. I would have paid that. Come on, gee whiz, he's down on the ground. He showed a lot of courage, and he's going to get to his feet, Paul Roos, but by gee whiz. Well, play goes on that outer side of the ground. Short kick, not marked by Lewis, coming in as Orchard. He was grabbed by the jumper, but play allowed to go on. A little kick off the ground in the direction of Chapman, taking it over as Simmons, and still Roos is in lots of strife.
And he did what is the thing that all footballers hate. You have to take a step or two back. The ball's hanging in the air. You know someone's coming from behind. He did everything he could, Roosy. I must say he's pretty stiff not to get a free kick. You wouldn't have thought for
I would have paid
being
the mark.
contacted from the back position.
I probably would have paid the mark too.
Kelly for Sydney. A kick across his body. Contest there provided by O'Brien. He's still in there. And passed by Orchard. Now Carey tries to get it into the path of O'Brien. What can he manufacture? Difficult angle. O'Brien kicks across the face. It goes out on the full. So the free kick to be taken by the West Coast. There's Paul Roos behind play, attended to by 4 trainers. And the umpires now have seen that the stretcher is on the ground. So they will hold up play.
I think he might have hurt a leg in this situation. May have even been his knee got caught underneath.
He actually grabbed his left knee almost immediately. Yeah. We see it there. But it's very difficult to determine in slow motion whether he's actually controlled the ball or not. But yeah, it certainly looked like a mark.
And certainly, you don't. If you come up from a stretcher, it looked like he's done some damage to his left knee. We'll hope it isn't severe.
Well, fortunately for Sydney, Troy Luff is able to run onto the ground, and he's going back into a key defensive post. And back at the other end of the ground, we look at Paul Roos being attended to by the club doctor. Just a discussion there as to what may have happened. But the free kick is with Peter Matera in the right back pocket. The Eagles have made a change, Heady off and Metropolis back into the fray. So the umpire What's he doing, John? Just waiting to make sure that this stretcher is right out of the road?
Yeah, he's probably asking them to get it outside the fence and take Roosie up the race, because it's dangerous for players if the game's allowed to continue and the stretcher is still inside the fence.
Probably learned a couple of lessons on Thursday night at the MCG, I'd suggest.
Yes.
So play eventually does go on. It's Banfield in the pocket and away now towards the middle. Waterman in space, kicking up towards centre field. Lovell is there, fisted away by Lucuria, missed behind by Stafford. Now a chance for the Eagles. Cousins races away from 60 metres out, kicks down towards the pocket, loose ball behind. Luff gets back, close to the boundary line, heads in that direction. He's happy with that. 6-3 to 4-4. There's the champ. That was a violent collision. Great courage by Roos going back. He's done it for a career. Out of there by Grant. It wobbles out towards the attacking 50 for the Eagles. Matera, question of accuracy, closing on the goal, threads the needle. The finish of a surgeon.
Well, isn't that something to watch? I mean, when Peter Matera accelerates and grabs possession and then just takes off, but he's got the ability to be so balanced when he eventually kicks the ball at speed. Have a look at this. It's just really pretty to watch. Grabs the ball, accelerates away, but then beautifully balanced when he goes into his delivery stride. A fantastic goal.
Well, as soon as the Swans struggle to get their fourth goal, Matera with a bit of magic gets the Eagles' 7th. Lewis away from the centre, kicked forward by Grant towards half-forward, taken by Mooney. Mooney off his left foot across the half-forward line, a good mark taken by Lewis. That's Dale Lewis for Sydney. 8 minutes left in the third term, and the Swans trail by 17 points. Lewis has the footy. He's 50 metres from goal. So based on what you said in the second term, Lee, he won't have a shot. You'll be looking for a short pass,
yeah, well,
maybe.
You can tell he doesn't want to have a shot, but if there's nothing else on, he might just have to give it a burl and hope for the best.
So he's going with the long bomb, and he hooks the kick and the finish. He does register a score, but it's just a behind. 1 goal, 3 to Paul Lewis, and we saw Paul Roos taken off on a stretcher. Adrian Barrage.
Yeah, boys, it doesn't look good for Roosie, the 34-year-old legend. He landed awkwardly on his left knee after a great display of courage. The crowd actually were generous with their applause when he came off, but they've done that terrible knee examination that you boys know about, where they have the medial ligament check, and the knee looks pretty loose, and I think we'll find out tomorrow from x-rays how bad, but at this stage, a big blow for the Swans.
Grigic on the wing. Little chip pass across towards Matera. Thought he was pushed in the back.
Free kick paid for pushing the back.
Advantage won't be paid here. So the ball will come back to Peter Matera. Just putting his stamp on this game in the last few minutes. What a marvellous running goal just moments ago out of the right full forward pocket. Can't defend that. 7-3-4-5. The Swans still very much in this game. As Lee said, you wonder where the next couple of goals will come from for them. McIntosh on the lead. Not that the Eagles are free scoring by any stretch of the imagination. A centering kick. Having to wait down there was the big man Carey. Knocked it forward. They'll work it out. Grant kicks it towards half back. Outnumbered is Corcoran. He does pretty well. Worked his way in front of McIntosh, and that was a very good result for his team. Knocking the ball across the line. Throw in then about 75 metres from the Swans attacking goal. Or rather the Eagles attacking goal. Grigic, Banfield, Wooden in trouble.
Orchard. Well done by Orchard. He chased 2 players down then.
Free kick paid for incorrect disposal, throwing the footy.
So he's rewarded. Mark Orchard having a very good turn.
Yes, he's showing a lot of spirit. So the Swans would be pretty happy with that. He runs away from left half back, close towards the centre. Kicks into that area, it's knocked away. Waterman's hand pass is pretty good into the path there of Morrison, but his kick, disappointingly for the Eagles, lands on the chest of Seymour. Seymour goes in towards centre half back where Dyson has taken the mark. No one really to kick to. Goes short, Cousins knocked away, but Lucuria nearly there to gather the crumbs. Kemp tackled by Corcoran. In goes Lucuria again against Cousins. And a real tie up there, not far from the centre circle. Umpire will ball it up. Just a few seconds ago, we saw Dale Lewis doing the ruck work up against Ilya Grigic. So if that's an indication of the Swans being a little depleted in size, it's going to be a battle for them. Kelly to O'Loughlin, gives away a bit of ground. Back to Dyson, shrugs the tackle with the left foot. Gets it about 35 to 40 metres towards his goal. Kelly about to swoop on it. Gathers, can't crash through. Hand passes further forward. Chance for the Swans, all down goes Chapman. Struggle again, punched on by Mooney. Hand pass, O'Loughlin couldn't break clear. Stephen Carey kicks across the full forward line. O'Brien about to get onto it, must kick the goal for the Swans. And it looks pretty good. Craig O'Brien has kicked the goal. O'Brien's first goal, and the Swans, well, they just hang in there. They're 5-5, West Coast are 7-3.
Unfortunately for the Swans, they're coming in ones and they're very well spaced. It's just, again, it's just every goal just has to set itself up. It's just a work, good tackling, good pressure by the Eagles, and eventually it's the quick kick out, as we see. O'Brien happens to be 15 metres clear, but when he had the opportunity, he was able to make the most of it.
Just over 5 minutes till three-quarter time. 5-5, 7-3. O'Brien, who put 34 goals last season, could be the man to spark that forward line. Lewis out of the middle. High floating kick towards the wing. Coming at it hard and doing well was Chapman. Eyes only for the ball. Plays on immediately. Back towards centre half forward. Intended for Lewis. Trying to juggle it. Off the ground by Wooden towards the outer side. Orchard leads in the race. Coming in the opposite direction, Kelly. Wooden did very nicely. Trapped the ball to the advantage of Morrison. Lewis. Wooden gets on the end of the chain. Some indecision on the wing. Kicks down towards half forward. The Swans there in number. It bounces obligingly though for Mitchell White. He's about 60 metres out. Back to Morrison, who's run on. Morrison to Kemp. The consummate finisher. Well, that fixed him. Behind.
Hasn't had much of the ball tonight, Dean Kemp, and I think when you haven't had much of the ball, it's halfway through the third quarter, you get it, and he just hurried himself a fraction.
Free kick paid to Peter Matera before the ball arrived. He was pushed to the ground.
So I don't know whether he had to do that either, Corcoran, because the kick was headed in the Garlic direction. He was just ever so conscious of Matera's presence.
If Peter Matera will think about making the dummy and going round the guy on the mark, I wonder.
Wooden to come off, Evans on for the Eagles. Matera kicks high, it'll land close to the goals and through the players' hands on the line and through for a behind to the West Coast.
I think that was indicative of Jason Ball's night then. He out-positioned seemingly smaller opponent, but just couldn't hold the ball. Both hands to it, but dropped it.
Kick in okay, Seymour has it. Goes further down the wing, Kelly has provided some good running. Lewis onto him quickly, perhaps anticipating there that Paul Kelly was about to maybe try to play on anyway. He's taken back to position at about right half back. Kelly's had 11 kicks and 10 hand passes. Kick into the centre, nearly taken there by Carey, gathered by Simmons for the Eagles. Out wide, goes to Morrison, round onto his right foot, but kicks it straight to the opposition. In this case, it's Seymour. Seymour's little left foot kick, not too bad, into the path of Luff. Wasn't he a revelation last year? Troy Luff kicks to the wing. Oh, Matera, magical, mercurial, magnificent Peter Matera. How he got out of that and got the ball to Kemp was just fantastic footy. Kemp, forward of centre wing for the Eagles.
Mongoose quick to the Matera. Kemp in short. Banfield back to Kemp. He's 75 metres out. Prods it inside the 50. Evans has it. Told to stop by Mitchell White.
Watch the Eagles have to work the ball around the 50-metre line a little bit. The Swans just get their players back in defence so quickly that if you kick the ball in long, you're going to be outnumbered if the ball comes to ground. And there's plenty of loose players around the Eagles' 50-metre line if they can find them.
Yes, well, the Swans have flooded back in number again. Tony Evans then from just inside the 50. Fancies himself at the distance. It's bending back. Hasn't got the carry, not quite. Big contest right on the goal line. Cresswell picks it up in front. Heads for the boundary line. Bounces it out of bounds. Still only 12 points the margin. The Swans won't go away. Both sides depleted tonight. Worsfold and Mainwaring coming out late. But you look at the players missing. And the Swans, of course, have a goal kicker and Tony Lockett out of their team. That's so for the West Coast Eagles, really. No proven goal scorer. Peter Simic, of course, still struggling for form and fitness. We've got to bounce about 35 metres out. It's a typical West Coast Eagles game in many respects. A lot of the ball not translated to the scoreboard. In this sort of situation, you don't want to be playing the Sydney Swans. Luff has given away another kick. Hasn't had the best of nights.
And again, we often talk about this, the smaller ruckman, the leaping ruckman in Luff. I mean, he's much smaller than Jason Ball, so he has to really go the leap, and in doing so, you sort of can sometimes jump all over.
And a clear free kick too, Lee. I mean, both hands were on the opponent's shoulder. It was just, we'll see it again in replay. We'll see Troy Luff jump up and just climb all over the opposing ruckman.
So in the replay, you would. He did jump all over Ball, but he was heading towards the ball. If that was a marking contest, he would have been allowed to do that, wouldn't he?
No, I don't think so. The umpire has to be convinced that the player's prime objective is to contest the ruck contest or the mark, and with that sort of action, I don't think it would have been either.
It's a goal.
Yes, they'd be pretty unhappy about that, the Swans. I mean, goals have just been so hard to get. They just seem to come from, well, they just seem to come rather than being set up. And to give away a free kick 30 metres out from goal is one of those situations that does tend to make a coach lose his hair.
That would still be a free kick in a marking contest, Lee, no problem.
Yeah.
So once again, as the Swans mount a challenge, it's snuffed out temporarily by the Eagles. A pretty straightforward kick by Jason Ball to register their 8th goal. Cousins kicks it forward. Nearly taken there by Wilson. Hand pass picked off by Evans, then to Kemp. Cousins is on the end of it. He's done some good running, hasn't he, young Ben Cousins? He took the ball away from the centre ruck contest, and he's now going to have a shot for goal from only 20 metres out.
I'll tell you, that's what on-ballers do who love kicking goals. You clear the ball from the centre square and then you charge into the forward 50. Gary Hocking loves doing that, and that's what Cousins did. It's very hard for his direct opponent to sort of run with him, and really made himself available in the usable space. And will probably kick his 3rd goal.
Good stats too, 20 possessions. And as Lee has just mentioned, if he gets this, 3 goals in a low-scoring game, a valuable contribution. So all of a sudden the gap is out to 24 points.
And Cousins is looking to make that progression. I mean, a first-year player last year, he mainly played as a permanent forward. Tonight, he's been on the ball in the centre square a fair bit, and one would think that as he develops, he will be a genuine sort of on-baller as well as a goal-kicking forward. And on-ballers who can get goals against their name are extremely valuable.
Look of anguish from Michael Malthouse. Well spotted by Dean Kemp. Seeing Ben Cousins alone in front. Here's Cousins again. Inspired stuff. Bounces it down towards half forward. Dying seconds of the term. Lovell hand passes towards the attacking 50. No chance of a score though. Lucuria gets across. Kicks towards the outer side wing. And Lewis. And there's the siren. So for the second time in 2 quarters, the West Coast Eagles surging late. We saw it just before halftime. And again there, that man was a key. 9-5 to 5-5. The youngster and the vet. Start of the final term. The Swans with a job in front of them. Stafford at the second attempt knocks it down. Waterman hurriedly onto the boot out wide. Morrison tracks it, takes it nicely, changes direction well, kicks inside the 50. The Swans have numbers back. Mitchell White got hands to it. Lovell beaten. Lucuria goes off the ground out towards the boundary. Orchard, can he keep it in? Manages to, gets by White, well almost. O'Loughlin confronted, slips away, nicely done, kept his head. Lucuria out of defence, looks upfield, kicks it to a contest. And the way he's been playing tonight, not the contest to go to. Peter Matera, the last 15 minutes of that previous term really instrumental in the Eagles slipping away. Peter Matera, forward of the wing then, side up by 24 points. Taking plenty of time. But again, a very static forward line to go into, and it's a compromised kick as a result. It wanders down towards the pocket. Wilson gets back. All the time in the world to bring it out. Little one comes across from Grant. This is Kelly. Kelly across the ground now. Stafford. Rigic slaps it away at the second attempt. Evans, well done. Slips away. 60 metres out. The short one. Well directed. Dyson
Swings around onto his right foot and then kicks with precision and gives the opportunity for Cresswell to mark. He's still behind centre wing. Darren Cresswell, who was manning up on Dean Kemp earlier in the night, has been able to gather, well, a reasonable amount of possessions in the match. He's had 14. Dean Kemp, on the other hand, has had 7. So it's been a pretty good contest at the moment. Kemp back towards half forward and Cresswell on the ball for the Swans. Matera, one of the best men on the ground, kicks it off the side of his right boot and keeps it in play. Well done by Matera.
The controller just noticed the Swans runner just went out to Paul Kelly. I think it may have been when he kicked the ball from the back pocket out towards centre half back, and the Swans lost possession, but Tony Evans was an equally poor kick back in, and the Swans got away with it.
O'Brien off the ground for the Swans, and Grant back into the fray as Matera kicks the ball towards half forward. It rebounds for Dyson. He's taken to the ground. Umpire allows play to go on. It's slapped clear by the Eagles. Picked up by Ball. Now Lewis short to Kemp. Has it gone the required distance? Yes. So Kemp will have a shot from about 40 metres out. Missed a rather straightforward shot on the run in the third quarter.
Yeah, this is just, he's going to have to kick the ball right on the 50-metre line. Most elite footballers can kick 50 metres, but just to keep the ball on line over that distance. Let's see how Kemp does it.
Well, he's had a couple of looks at the short pass, and then he goes long, and he kicks it right to the line, and the mark is taken down there by Jason Ball.
Well, it's early in the last quarter, and I think that's the first contested overhead mark that a key position player of either side has taken. It's taken this long into the game, which is, I think, the reason why it's been a very low-scoring affair.
Shot from 2 metres out by Ball. Umpire Scroop just indicating that the players close to the kicker and should move away.
Jason Ball trying to open up the goals a bit too, Robbo, just creeping around when he thought he could get away with it.
Well, he shouldn't miss that, should he? No, he doesn't. So 2 goals to Jason Ball gives the Eagles, you would think, an insurmountable lead, 10-5 to 5-5.
Well, it's only his second mark for the day. I think Seymour's done a pretty good spoiling job, but here again, just the extra height. Seymour just lost his balance a fraction, maybe thought the ball was going to carry through, and Ball this time was able to get both hands onto the ball and collect it, and then from point blank range you could hardly miss.
Well, considering the size they've got off the ground, that back line has done pretty well, of course aided by the slippery conditions, but even so they've conceded very little in the air. Kelly gets it across to O'Loughlin, who kicks it out towards left half forward. Carey's in front, tries to go back to Orchard. Orchard nicely done, falling to the ground. Cresswell's kick not particularly effective. It bounces down towards Mooney. Heavy collision there. Both those players hurt, the 2 17s, Mooney and McKenna. Simmons, meantime, kicks towards Waterman, who can't keep it in. Boundary throw in on the outer side wing. 10-5 to 5-5.
Might have been McIntosh.
I think it was McIntosh.
Just a clash of players, wasn't it? Come through hard, Mooney, and McIntosh didn't have the momentum, so he's the one who copped it.
Kenny did well to step aside. He was there as well, but McIntosh bore the brunt of it. Here's Evans. Dragged down. Is he holding the ball? Yes, he is.
Greg Stroop obviously felt he dived on the footy, tackled, didn't hit it out immediately.
Philandia made it very difficult for a teammate running up from full-back Licuria, and as a result they put it in through Mitchell White to the Eagles. Evans in trouble, surrounded, he was taken high. Well, they were coming from all directions. No lack of endeavour, a lack of technique perhaps.
Paul
Kelly saying it was the chest, not the neck. We might get another look at it.
They're waiting. Here it is. Yeah, just slightly high as
It wasn't a free kick.
Evans just went in a
gee
little
whiz.
lower.
Well, yeah, that's right. Evans really contributed to the high contact, so you could certainly argue as to whether that was a warranted free kick or not.
Gee whiz.
Going after his first goal then.
It's about what it deserved.
Yeah, probably a fitting result. Tony Evans slides it away to the left.
I'll tell you, if I was Tony Evans, I would have been disappointed if I didn't get a free kick for that.
It
was a high-
never went
it was a
around
high
his head.
tackle.
He hit him across the middle of the back, and his hand slipped over the top of his head.
When Evans has tried to duck
How do
under.
you slip over the top of his head?
330 games you played, you would have delivered a few tackles like that were let go, I'm
And I
sure.
got free kicked every time.
The umpire 330 as well.
We all would have been disappointed. But Seymour kicks it outside the 50 then. Grigic, nicely done. Matera from 52. It was touched off the boot by Philandia, or was it? Philandia was claiming downfield he touched it. Seymour, I think, was paid a mark. No, they play on in any case. O'Loughlin will bring it away. O'Loughlin runs up to centre half back. Kicks back towards the outer side wing. In front was Carey. Gehrig knocked it away. Morrison soccers it forward, down towards right half forward. Knocked across the line by Garlick. Did he pay the mark to Seymour down there?
It did sound as though there was a whistle, and Greg Scroop's whistle certainly went to the mouth, so you would certainly think that he thought it was a mark.
Philandia was retracting his hands very quickly up the ground.
Yeah, when he realised who'd caught it.
Boundary throw in, and the Eagles with the height advantage in the ruck contest. Cresswell, the tackler, knocked forward by Morrison. Now Banfield. Banfield's left foot kick to the front of the square. It bounces a little awkwardly. Lacuria does well to gather. Now Philandia, away to the captain in Kelly. Kelly's kick down the wing. Good diving effort by Simmons, not rewarded, but didn't quite hang on to it. Matera across to Banfield. Banfield into the pocket, sliding and nearly holding it was Mitchell White, taken over in the finish by Kelly for a boundary throw in. 50 metres from the Eagles' goal, 14 and a half minutes left. The Eagles lead their 10-6. Sydney are 5-5.
Paul Kelly certainly leads from the front. 25 disposals for the night so far.
Outstanding performance. Was that interference? Not according to the umpire. Ball throws it on the boot. Mitchell White gets through a few byes there. That ball bouncing awkwardly just in front of him.
I suppose it fits in with what the Swans have tried to do in their whole game plan, but Paul Kelly seems to have got a heap of kicks in the defensive 50. They've always been back in the defensive half, not getting them running through midfield, which we would like him to get him the most.
Ball. Evans ricochets to Kemp. Banfield lost it. Sliding in there for Landia. Claiming him as Kemp. And a whistle. He ran so hard in that opening term, Paul Kelly. He was quite outstanding there. I suppose he's tiring a bit and knows where to go to get a kick, and it's mainly been played in that half of the ground. Philandia, Lewis, Dyson back to Philandia. Lewis runs it out then up towards the wing, but the kick wide of the target. It spotted O'Loughlin but didn't realise that Matera was coming in from the opposite angle. Peter Matera's got the ball right on the wing. 10-6 to 5-5. The Eagles controlling this game now. Here's Tony Evans. It's about 75 metres out from goal. Ball offers the lead. It goes over his head. Back goes Kemp, required to fly high. Not very well thought out, although who knows, they could get a goal from this. Kemp pulls it back to the middle. White missed it. Orchard in trouble. White claimed him close to the boundary line. Lovell goes after it, kept it alive. Morrison, 35 metres out. That's a great snap. Marvellous goal. Chad Morrison off balance under pressure. 11 for the West Coast Eagles.
And as we so often see, set up by the forward, the tackle in the forward line, I think it was Mitchell White, even after the marking contest here, just enough to make Mark Orchard. All he could do was just get rid of the ball, and once the Eagles regained it, it took an excellent finish by Morrison under real pressure on his left side to kick the goal.
So the margin now blown out to 37 points in favour of the West Coast Eagles. Paul Kelly still striving hard for his team. Gathers, then gives the hand pass away, well to no one in particular. Grigic gets back. O'Loughlin chips in for Sydney, and he shrugs the tacklers. Handball over the top. Sets it up now for Corcoran. Corcoran's kick into the pocket, not really to the advantage of his teammate down there, Chapman. And it's quite safely knocked clear by McKenna. Free kick is against Chapman.
For a push in the back.
So McKenna goes across the goal face to Gehrig. Gehrig now out very, very wide where Waterman has made position, and he's taken a safe chest mark. Waterman has had a fair bit of the football, 12 possessions, 5 marks, kicked down to the wing, and the mark taken by Ball. Well, I would get the impression that he's probably playing at either centre-half forward or full forward. Either one, he's a long way down the ground, isn't he?
At this point, he's probably centre-half forward if you want to give him a specific position.
Fair enough.
Coming a long way down.
A high kick towards the half-forward area, but the marker's taken down there for the Swans by Wilson. Wilson's kicking towards centre-half back. Good talking there. Cresswell from behind Kelly. Cresswell's kick goes towards half-forward, clears the players in that region, and also an awkward bounce for Mooney. Turnbull does well. Kick, well, in the finish, it just was weighted nicely for Banfield. I don't quite know whether it was intentional. Turnbull runs on and then kicks into the pocket, gathered there by Lovell. Not quite quick enough to get the foot to the ball, Andy Lovell. Taken over for a boundary throw-in by Simon Garlick.
There's the time remaining and the margin. It would seem too much for Sydney. Grigich, I think resting at full forward at the moment, throws it on the boot. Seymour in the road though. Uses a teammate as a decoy, then comes back. Goes short to Dyson. Dyson up towards the wing. In front Matera, fisted away by Corcoran, and a bounds it goes. Ben Cousins.
Surely
good
couldn't be
night's
for
work.
his form. He just must be giving him a spell.
Yeah, Brett Heady on the ground. Interesting situation. I mean, you've got Cousins up there vying for Brownlow votes. What's the view of the umpires, John, when they come off, don't complete the game like
Oh,
this?
you obviously go by the how much you remember the player during the course of the game, and if he's off for part of the game, then obviously you can't influence the way the Brownlow votes will go.
Out of sight, out of mind. On what you've seen tonight, though, does Cousins deserve some votes, do you think?
Oh, yeah, he's had a great night. 22 touches looking at the stats, and Paul Kelly 25 or 26, so they've got to be up there.
There's Metropolis on the wing. Nobody standing the mark. Untidy. Metropolis kicks it down towards half forward. 2-on-1 down there. And Kelly.
Like wearing the number 30 jumper for the West Coast Eagles hasn't had a bad night either.
Oh, no, there's a few in contention. As the kick back towards the centre square. Waterman got a fist in there. That was enough to knock it down to the advantage of Banfield, who goes wider. Away comes White, running down towards half forward. Pushed as he kicked, but affected the kick. Wilson goes back and takes the mark. They wanted to play on. A lot of numbers tell the story. Seymour comes away. Well, Philandia had to stretch and did well. Peter Philandia, great to see him back. Knee reconstruction a couple of years ago. Missed all of 95. Comes out of the back pocket. Kicks across the ground. Kelly, well, most uncharacteristic. May have been blinded by the lights. We've never said that before at Subiaco Oval. Stafford's got it to Garlick. Garlick, right half back. Running up towards the wing. Needs to be perfect with the kick. Well controlled by Grant, but he was running out of space close to the boundary line, so we've got a throw-in.
You can see when they come away from half back, the Swans, they haven't got a lot of confidence, have they, with not much across the half forward line.
No one drawing the ball forward of centre at all.
So a real struggle for them as it is. You can see on the scoreboard they've only kicked 5 goals, 5, and we've only got 9.5 minutes left in the match. So I think that when they came over here, they would have thought that they would have certainly needed something like 10 to 15 goals to win the game. And their last goal coming 23 minutes into the third quarter. Still Grigich getting the applause from the crowd. I think they've been impressed with Ilya's first game for the West Coast Eagles. The Swans get the ball to half forward. Oh, well judged. Very, very well judged. We've become very, very used to that. Guy McKenna across half back. Kicks it in short for Waterman. Down comes McIntosh. He looks as though he's recovered. They do make a change, and that is the applause for Ilya Grigich coming off the ground for the Eagles, and he's been replaced by Wooden. The ball at half forward, not clear to the advantage of the Eagles. And a bit of strife there. It looks as though that maybe is Fraser Gehrig underneath all that. Mercuria, the tackler. And it's Brett Heady.
That Guy McKenna mark, that ability to know that he's got his opponent under the ball, take the step forward so his opponent can't back and just judge the ball into his hands. He does that so often.
Carey tries to knock it down to Kelly. Philandia throws it on the boot. Travels down through the centre square. O'Loughlin quickly away. This is Cresswell on the burst. Kicks inside the 50. Grant. One of their best sorties forward right there for the Sydney Swans. A little pressure gone out of the game, but they moved that one very nicely. Grant. Low kick. Realised the goal square was open. Just missed. Quick thinking. Deserved a bit of fate. 5-6 to 11-6. Not much to smile about there. Simmons. Now Waterman. They've stuck at it, the Swans. No questioning their desire. Lewis. With a lazy hand pass. Releases Metropolis. Plenty of support on the outer side. Metropolis runs about 15 metres, then proceeds to give it away. Straight to Seymour.
Is there an explanation for, as many times as it happens in a game of football today, for the opposition to kick it straight to someone in the other team?
Well, I suppose it shouldn't, but I must say, just a thought occurred to me then. The game these days sometimes is played more and more like soccer. The ball goes from one back flank to the other back flank. Then you've got to execute the kick, and then sometimes that kick isn't executed well enough. Opposition half back line gain possession, then back she goes the other way. It's just like seesawing from half back line to half back line.
Well, the Swans have got 5 to go right while you've been talking, all to their mates. There's Mooney, there's Cresswell. Very high one. Off hands, it runs free behind and goes across the line.
Been much talk though of the way football just recently, the defensive nature of the way all sides are pushing their men back in defence, and high-scoring games are becoming a bit of a rarity. Although you might not have told Collingwood that today, but then maybe Port Adelaide's a different situation. Fitzroy weren't involved in too many low-scoring games either, were they?
That's true. The fans have braved the conditions here at Subiaco. The first game under lights on this ground. O'Loughlin's shot for goal is a pretty good kick, actually. Goes right to the face of goal, but a good mark taken by Matera. And Peter Matera starting off season 1997 in magnificent fashion, and finds one of his regular mates in Dean Kemp. Kemp's kick, Lovell underneath it, able to gather, then tries to handball to the advantage of Kemp, but Luff just getting a hand to it maybe and forcing it over for a boundary throw in.
Marvellous kick by Peter Matera off one pace, wasn't it, to come out?
I know he's a very polished performer, Peter Matera. Ruckman to go at it, not clear by Stafford, gathered there by Garlick. Garlick's kick, well, should have really been mopped up there by Guy McKenna, but one of his rare misses.
I wonder if we'll see Peter Matera on the wing more regularly this year. It seemed last year he was pushed to halfback for much of the year, but he's on the wing tonight and played exceptionally well.
Luff to do the ruck work, but knocked away by ball. Matera again, little kick, precision again, and he finds McKenna close to the boundary line, only about 25 metres further forward from where the kick came, and McKenna quite prepared to kick in towards the front of the Swans goal, to which he's defending. Waterman back to Matera, just wasting time now. I guess that they're quite prepared to just see how it goes. They lead by 6 goals and there's 6 minutes left. They've had about 7 possessions across this area between fullback and halfback. Waterman now kicks out wide and eventually gets it clear, at least 2 kicks away from the Swans goal, and Morrison, sloppy hand pass, Gehrig in strife, taken away by Orchard, gets it back to Chapman. Chapman's kick missed by O'Loughlin, gathered quickly by Corcoran in towards halfback, taken away by McKenna. McKenna's kick, did he mean that? I'll give him the credit for it. Morrison out wide, Metropolis, down the ground goes Daniel Metropolis.
Loves a run. Orchard, good earnest pursuit. That could be holding the ball. It is. Advantage is paid. Philandia, the opposite direction, goes in short. Missed by Grant, coming through McKenna, falling to the ground. He tried to move the ball to Evans. Evans having one of those days, couldn't pick it up. Corcoran gained about 10 metres. It bounced obligingly for Chapman, hacked out of mid-air brilliantly after the initial smother there from Waterman, missed by White, picked up by Garlick. Garlick boots it back through centre field. Good talking. Matera is calling out the man in front, Simmons. Kicks out wide, Heady. Kemp is running on, unmarked, like his chances to get this. Here he is. Kemp decides to take on the tackler. Well done by Lacuria. Some hesitating football from Dean Kemp. He paid the price. Back it comes towards the wing. Loose ball behind. Matera feeds it off. Waterman can go short to Simmons and does. Simmons on the wing. Kemp is free again, but he elects not to go there this time.
31 possessions for Matera.
Marvellous game. Most of them high quality. Think about that goal from the pocket. Meantime, McIntosh off the ground, missed by Seymour. Bursting through down there, Dyson. Dyson deep in defence, couldn't control it. Heady put the body in. Seymour over the top. We'll have a throw up.
Grigic back onto the ground too, Dennis.
About 25 metres out. Yeah, who came off?
Those, mate.
It's Tony Evans, hobbled off.
So Grigic straight back into it, but beaten on this occasion by Stafford. His kick didn't really go all that far. Still into attack of the West Coast Eagles. Now the Swans a chance to clear. Cresswell under a bit of pressure. Gets the handball away to Corcoran, but Corcoran's kick is ill-directed out on the full. Free kick to the West Coast. To be taken out there, it might be McIntosh, is it? Lewis not happy with Cresswell. Now, Chris Lewis, you've played pretty well. It's all about self-discipline, and in the dying minutes of the game, let's just get it over and done with. McIntosh has the football. He's kicked towards full forward. No mark taken. Grigic at the back. Lovell, the hand pass. Gets it away to his teammate. That kick forward has been marked by Kelly. Kelly's short kick. Matera onto it. So it just seems to be able to read everything, Peter Matera. Look at this. BOG. Thank you very much. Oh. Huh? You would like to see that a few times.
I think at the moment Peter Matera better hope there's a car for the goal of the year or something, because that was just an exceptional effort, wasn't it? The ball looked like it was going to go out of bounds. I mean, basically he spoiled a mark. It looked like this was going to be the Swans' mark. It was Matera's speed that got there to spoil. He just kept the ball in play. The ability to accelerate, to turn, to spin, to get balance, and then to finish. Did it all. Great effort.
Matera magic. I only hope he could put that on a postcard. That's what makes the game great. His second goal. Meantime, back in the middle, Kelly throws it on the boot. The hard-working Kelly moving his side towards half forward, but, well, too much skill back here. And the longer it's gone, the better this defence is played. McKenna, well-weighted kick coming out to Kemp. Off the ball, a player was put down rather heavily. That was Simmons.
Marty Ellis actually paid the free kick and then called advantage. When he saw there was no advantage to be gained, then he's called it back and awarded the free kick to take place from a set kick.
Okay, it's Kemp who's got the kick. It was Simmons who was infringed. Kemp goes down towards left half forward, and Lovell, a clever mark there. He's taken by Garlick, just falling off his man. Gets back towards centre half back. Here's Kelly, so the ball goes directly across the ground. Luff breaks away, had a wonderful season last year. Probing kick towards half forward. The Eagles queue up though. The hand pass came from Metropolis. Ball couldn't handle it. Down goes Turnbull. And a whistle. So they've been in pretty good form in the second half, the West Coast Eagles. Just 2 goals for the Swans, and Robbo working out the progressions. The margin at the moment, 48.
42 now, but it might be. I'll just say, at quarter time it was 6, at half time 12, at three-quarter time 24. Could it be 48 at full time?
I think you may have been an accountant in earlier life, were you? let's go down to Adrian Barrage.
Yeah, Dennis, just a bit of an update on Eagles Premiership rover Tony Evans. A bit of a hit on his knee and thigh. Cork, not too bad though. I think he'll be all right.
So boundary throw in, left half forward for the Swans. Just trying to break clear, but it's Kemp. Handball, ineffective. McKenna tackled. Philandia's handball. Gets it to Corcoran. Corcoran's kick towards full forward and knocked away in the finish there by Big Ryan Turnbull, and I think he's a bit of a favourite with the West Coast Eagles supporters as well. He gets a very healthy round of applause for that effort, and the coaching staff would be reasonably satisfied with their first up tilt. Well, shot for goal there in a hurry. Is that Shannon Grant?
Darren Cresswell.
And misses, so through from behind to Sydney. Kick by Cresswell. That's his first score for the game, Darren Cresswell. And the kick in to be done by Waterman. Goes wide, and the player on his own out there is Gehrig. He plays on quickly. Again, this is Morrison. Handball to Simmons. Simmons, after one bounce, takes a second, gets past the wing. Gee, that's a long run there with the third one. In towards half forward, punched away. Contest here, and the Swans defenders, this time Garlick knocking it clear for a boundary throw in right half forward for the West Coast.
Just was one first gamer for the West Coast Eagles tonight, Josh Wooden. I must say he's the first New South Wales ACT Rams player to play in the seniors in the AFL. Gehrig's got the ball. Comes from Lockhart in New South Wales, does Wooden. As Gehrig kicks inside the 50. Clever mark almost to luff. In fact, it's paid. The Rams made the under-18 AFL Grand Final last season, their first season in the competition. I can understand why. Thanks for the facts. That was very professional of the club. Real update on the youngster. 12 possessions for him tonight. On and off the bench. What a great performance. Out of the under-18s and straight into one of the strongest sides in the land. Wilson has played well in his first game for the Swans. Gets it to Philandia on the siren. Tackled by Matera, running till the very end. And the West Coast Eagles have come out big winners. 12-6, 78 to 5, 7-37. So after half-time, really, little in the contest. As far as the Swans were concerned, nothing they can take away. It was all the West Coast Eagles.